Only my name is junior high graduate. Tears rolled down my granddaughter, Katie's eyes unexpectedly. The nameplate she held proclaimed junior high graduate. Anger reddened my vision. John Harrison appeared before me at the company's orientation. The person who pulls stunts like this at the orientation is running a branch. It's over. Who chose you? John gestured as if to say. Oh well. It's obviously the president or the chairman. Liar. Each branch handles its personnel matters independently. It's a policy rooted in local practices. You may meet with the president for a final check, but it's just a formality. The branch usually makes its decisions without interference. How do you even know so much? Seriously, just disappear. I'll call the police for trespassing. I loathed John's mocking half-smile. The moment I revealed the truth, his face amusingly shifted. I am Robert Anderson. It's been decades since I left my hometown. I married a calm-natured woman and was blessed with children. My 60th birthday was just celebrated, remembered by a grand family party. My adorable granddaughter, turning 18, gave me a tie pin she bought with her own salary. I've always strived without giving up, that's why I'm here today. I thought nothing would be difficult anymore, until that moment. Grandpa, how are things over there? Katie's smiling face appeared on the video call. Despite the distance, it was easy to connect via video calls on smartphones, a convenient world indeed. We just arrived yesterday evening, so not much yet. When are you coming here, Katie? My wife, Diane, popped her head out from the kitchen and joined our call. I'm planning to move in before the orientation next month, but I'm still finishing up at my old job. It might be tight. Katie was working at a food company until the end of the month, having started there at 16. But now, she had decided to switch to Smile Corporation. I never expected Katie's new assignment would be here. It's your hometown, isn't it? Yes. Indeed, this was my hometown. Though decades had passed since I last visited, the atmosphere remained the same, for better or worse. I mean, there was no need for you guys to move in too. We are just worried about you, dear Katie. Katie was assigned to a new branch of Smile Corporation. I couldn't just leave her alone in this countryside. Thinking so, I returned to this land, teased by my son as a doting grandpa. Initially, we considered renting a house nearby rather than living together. Thanks for worrying. I love you, Grandpa and Grandma. Looking forward to living together. Could there be grandparents who wouldn't be happy to hear this? No, there wouldn't be. As we chatted in a lively atmosphere, the doorbell rang. Diane went to answer it, and I continued talking with Katie. Darling, could you come here? Diane looked troubled. Something must have happened, and I got up. Sorry, Katie. I'll call you back. Okay, see you. After hanging up, I headed to the front door. There was a group of people waiting outside looked at us evaluatively. We are from 3 houses down. A stout woman stepped forward, about my age. A man in his 40s, probably her son, was with her. We're sorry for being late to greet you as neighbors. Not that, but please don't throw your trash here without permission. Confused, I remembered checking the local trash collection rules when we decided to rent this house. This morning was supposed to be pickup day. The woman had just returned the trash bags I put out. Maybe I had mistakenly included something that shouldn't be thrown away. As I started to apologize, the woman sneered. My husband said so. We won't accept your trash at all. What? What do you mean? Diane and I frowned, staring at the woman and her companions. I had experienced this kind of hostility in this region before. They were trying to harass us insidiously. Isn't this wrong, Ms. Harrison? It's unfortunate, considering they just moved to this depopulated area. Shut up. It's the rule because my husband decided so. That's right. Don't go against father's decision. Harrison. I recognized the surname mentioned by the others. The woman and man commanding respect must be from the powerful family. Could it be? Long time no see, Robert. Emerging through the crowd was John Harrison, my former classmate who had relentlessly harassed me in this town. We had been in the same elementary school, and he was always causing trouble. He harassed me because of my complicated family situation, which I could not do anything about. My family had disappeared after amassing debts, leaving me behind. I bounced between relatives' homes, always treated as an afterthought. They said, "It's okay to do anything to Robert." As I was treated carelessly by everyone. Later, after I graduated from junior high, I moved to the city, worked hard, and met and married Diane. So, you've come back. Yes. Renting such a rundown house, doesn't it feel empty? John let out a contemptuous laugh. What the hell are you trying to say? Oh, scary. Stupid wife is stupid, huh? Couldn't make it in the city, so now you're living in poverty. I was fed up. How rude. We are. It's okay, Diane. Don't bother with him. But. Just, let it go. I advised, and although Diane looked unconvinced, she pressed her lips together tightly. Could you please not make a scene? It lowers the area's standards. That's right. I heard from Dad, you were living in extreme poverty, weren't you? You still look poor. Maybe my father's company should hire you. No way. This guy wouldn't be of any use at my company. After all, it's Smile Corporation. John boasted proudly. The Smile Corporation branch had been established here just 2 weeks ago. Originally, John had worked for a local company, which seems to have been absorbed by Smile Corporation. He had become the branch manager. He bragged about his appointment as the head of the biggest company in the area. After finishing their piece, John and his group said, "We just came to say hello today." And turned on their heels. The people following the Harrisons nodded apologetically at Diane and me. It's difficult to go against the Harrisons, the most powerful family in this region. It was the same when I was a child. By the way, there was a new employee who wrote this address in the CV. John mumbled to himself, sending chills down my spine. No, surely he wouldn't bring such a feud into the company. Both John and I were old enough. Even if there were grievances, they shouldn't be openly directed at each other, let alone at a grandchild. I tried to shake off the ominous feeling, hoping against hope. 1 month later. I'm going. Take care. If anything happens, call us right away. Laughing at our over-concern, Katie went off to the orientation with sparkling eyes. I wondered if she would fit in at her new job, a mix of hope and anxiety in my heart. I wondered if Katie is okay. I had told Diane everything about the garbage incident and my history with John after we were harassed. Regarding the garbage, other residents secretly took care of ours, so there were no problems. Some who knew me from the past were still worried about me. The only headache was John. Diane and I thought nothing would happen at the orientation. However, 1 hour later, the sound of the front door unlocking and closing echoed. Katie. That's early, isn't it? I called out from the living room, but there was no reply. Katie. Usually, she would burst into the living room with a bright hi. Perhaps it wasn't Katie who had returned, a burglar. Overcome with anxiety, I grabbed a golf club leaning in the corner of the living room and headed to the entrance. It was Katie standing there. I sighed in relief. You scared me. I thought you were a burglar. Trying to lighten the mood with a joke, Katie remained downcast and unresponsive. Diane joined us. You are back early. Katie. Diane and I froze. Katie was sobbing heavily, clutching something tightly in her hands. What's wrong? Even as I asked, Katie only shook her head, unable to reply. Something had clearly happened at the orientation. I glanced down and realized Katie was holding a nameplate. What was written on it was, "What is this?" I shouted from the bottom of my heart. Only my name is junior high graduate. The nameplate didn't have Katie Anderson written on it, just junior high graduate. This can't be true. Diane hugged Katie and began to cry softly. I'm sorry. I couldn't take it and came back. Anyone would have done the same. This is unforgivable. A wave of fury overwhelmed me, turning everything red before my eyes. Anger was all I could think about, though my mind was eerily clear. Is the orientation still going on? Yes. Diane spoke to me. Robert. With irritation in her voice. I knew what I had to do. I'm going to the orientation. What? Katie's tearful voice lingered in my ears, but I left the house and drove to the Smile Corporation branch. Arriving at the branch, I stormed into the conference room where the orientation was held. What are you doing here suddenly? You can't do this. Ignoring the employees trying to stop me, I roared. Call the branch manager. I'll have everyone fired. On the screen ahead, a pre-recorded message from the president of the headquarters was playing. What's going on? Robert. What are you doing here? John, who seemed to have been attending the orientation, approached us. I glared at him fiercely. Did you orchestrate this? What are you talking about? Katie's nameplate issue. John shrugged his shoulders. So what if I did? The person who pulls stunts like this at the orientation is running a branch. It's over. Who chose you? As I questioned him, John crossed his arms and leaned back arrogantly. It was obviously the president or the chairman. Liar. Each branch handles its personnel matters. It's a policy rooted in local practices. There might be a final check with the president, but it's just procedural. Normally, the branches make their decisions without interference. Why do you even know all this? Seriously, just disappear. I'll call the police for trespassing. John's mocking smirk was infuriating. Try it. But I will never be caught. Bold words for someone who just barged into the company. I'll really call 911. I am the chairman of this company. Everyone participating in the orientation turned their faces toward us. John clapped his hands and burst out laughing. Huh. You see, Smile Corporation has been a family business up to the chairman's generation. The last name is Anderson. Anderson. You're Owen, right? Yes, I was Owen. Now I'm Anderson. I had escaped from my hometown, and when I married Diane, I became an adopted son-in-law in her family. Subsequently, I became the president of Smile Corporation, which her father had run, and eventually stepped back to become the chairman. By the way, my wife Diane is an executive. The current president is not from the managerial family. Diane, believing that a competent person should manage, suggested this. As chairman and an executive, I don't directly interfere much with management, leaving it to the president and other officers. Still, I would have thought there would have been a company briefing before becoming a branch manager. Knowing John, perhaps he didn't attend. Even though my wife and I have stepped back, you should have known about Smile Corporation's chairman and executives when you took over as branch manager. Just then, my face appeared on the screen. It was a message to the new employees assigned to the branch. John, looking like a demon in front of me, alternated his gaze between me on the screen and me in person, his mouth opening and closing like a fish. Nepotism. That was his outburst. I thought it was odd. A junior high graduate sneaking into our company. He looked for agreement from the officials attending the orientation, but no one affirmed it. That's because affirming it would mean denying me, the chairman. John, cut it out. No, I knew the chairman's name was common like Anderson. I never imagined you were the chairman. Forgive me. Branch manager, that's rude to the chairman. As an employee tried to interject, John gave me a couple of pats on the shoulder. It's okay, it's okay. He and I are old friends, right? What nonsense. I was so astounded I was at a loss for words. Emboldened, he continued. You, hiring your own junior high graduate granddaughter. Isn't that too much personal bias? Stop it. If she's no good, it'll trouble the other employees. I had nothing to do with Katie's hiring. That's impossible. There's no way someone who couldn't even graduate high school could pass our entrance exam. I clenched my fists. Katie, being a junior high graduate, was due to severe bullying she faced in her third year of middle school. My son and daughter-in-law told me that Katie, trying to help another child being bullied, became a target herself. She became so distressed that she couldn't even leave the house for a while, making it impossible for her to attend high school exams. Later, having recovered somewhat, she didn't want to trouble her parents further, so she saved up money and passed the GED while working. She had planned to go to college but became interested in my work and secretly applied to Smile Corporation, making it to the final interview, which surprised me. That's the background, but I owe John no explanations. There's something I do want to say. Who really is the nepotist here? John mocked Katie for being a junior high graduate, but Katie possesses many qualities that John lacks. On my way here, I checked with the headquarters HR. Have you acquired the necessary certifications for your job? Huh. If you think you don't need them just because you're a branch manager, you're gravely mistaken. And the same goes for those who promoted this guy. Everyone but the new employees gasped. My granddaughter had already obtained all necessary certifications before applying to Smile Corporation. She was offered the job because of her determination. In contrast, you. I sighed. Turns out the company absorbed and merged was run by your father. I didn't know that. What? You bought us out without knowing. I said I had retired from the front line. I decided to establish a branch in this region, but I left the specifics of how to proceed to the management team below the president. John gritted his teeth. You knew my father's company was the biggest in this area. They wanted its influence, so Smile Corporation approached us to join their group. We wanted to retire from managing the company, so we handed over all management rights. I don't need a reason coded in lies. John has always acted like the king of the hill, stringing lies together out of a desperate desire to not jeopardize his position. Even though Harrison Industries has been absorbed by Smile Corporation, he clearly doesn't want to lose his former power. He was once feared and respected as the heir to Harrison Industries. His facade is peeling away, and I am the one peeling it. I've heard that Harrison Industries was struggling for a long time. I heard that it was you who initiated the merger. The atmosphere among the officers changes suddenly. Most of those gathered around John were employees who continued on from Harrison Industries. So you were propped up as the branch manager just because you're the son of the president of an absorbed company? Despite having little merit, didn't you boast that you know this area the best? John doesn't respond. Everyone avoids making eye contact with me. Then, suddenly. I've heard quite a bit. Diane. With her ever-charming smile, Diane entered the room, followed by Katie. Apparently, Katie had regained her composure shortly after the incident. Despite the situation, she felt it was rude to leave the orientation midway and wanted to return to the branch. Diane was accompanying her as support. From which part did you start listening? From where Grandpa declared you were the chairman. Almost the whole thing then. Trying to lighten the mood, John jokingly addresses Katie. Sorry about that. It was just a little joke, and I was surprised when you left. Come on, take a seat. Now that the chairmen have arrived, let's restart the orientation. Could you please save your dreams for when you're sleeping? Before I could unleash my anger, Diane smiled sweetly and dropped a zinger. It was a different kind of quiet anger. Oh no, Diane was seriously mad. My husband was reluctant about establishing a branch here. She spoke in a calm tone. He always said he didn't have good memories here, yet he always looked so sad about it. I figured even though there were bad memories, there must also be happy times spent with his family here. So, I pushed a bit hard to make it happen. But Diane looked at me and Katie, her face twisting in sadness. I didn't expect it to turn out like this. No, Diane, I really appreciate your feelings. Despite everything, it pained my heart to hear how my hometown was declining. I reiterated my thanks, and Diane's face brightened with relief. There was applause. John was clapping. What a wonderful story. Robert, let me thank you. You've saved this region. If Harrison Industries had fallen, there would have been many jobless people. Thanks to you and your wife's decisions, we are here today. Everyone nodded in agreement. At that moment, Diane smiled brightly. I'm glad to be appreciated. But still, we shouldn't place a branch where such insidious people are present. I agree. Maybe we should relocate the branch. No, wait. But since we've established it, I want to make it work here. Clearly, John and his clique sighed in relief. Now's the time. However, everyone influenced by the branch manager will be removed. The officers, including John, trembled. I decided to thoroughly revamp the personnel and declared that I would notify the president at headquarters. Amid the uproar, Diane and I took over hosting the troubled orientation. Katie sat down among the new employees with a proper nameplate, looking our way. Ignoring John and his clique, who seemed to be awaiting a dire fate, I proceeded with the orientation. After thoroughly investigating John, it became clear he was infamous even during his time at Harrison Industries. He harassed those he disliked until they left, used bribes to influence people, and treated company money as his own. These acts led to his dismissal. He pleaded desperately, but I wouldn't consider it. Re-employment would be difficult in this rural area. Perhaps he could manage something if he moved to another region, but he's too attached to his old status as a local power broker. Now, he's managing to get by as a part-time worker, thanks to a neighbor hiring him. Occasionally, our paths cross, and he awkwardly looks away and scurries off, a far cry from his former pompous self. John's wife and son are also feeling the pinch. They lived luxuriously before, but it turned out to be nothing more than living paycheck to paycheck, and now they're plummeting into poverty. It seems like poetic justice. Moreover, the officers who had propped John up were demoted. Their prospects for advancement are bleak. As for me, my relationships with the locals are good. I had planned not to meddle too much with company management anymore, but it seems I still have a role to play. After discussing with the president, we decided to inspect all branches, including the headquarters, for any issues like corruption or bribery. Katie is thriving at her job. I was worried about how things would turn out after such troubles at the orientation, but she's facing forward and overcoming the challenges. That's my granddaughter. I want to say, but then Diane would probably add. That's my granddaughter too. I've always had mixed feelings about my hometown. But returning here, I'm slowly remembering it wasn't all bad. People who cared, who protected me, who helped me secretly. I wasn't alone. Next to me stands my wife, always by my side. Looking back, I see my son and his wife, Katie, and many smiling faces. The prospect of new days ahead fills me with brightness.